going to start with just the overall understanding of your programs, which is a part of the selling process, which is like, how am I pricing my program so that I can ROI on my funnel, okay? And so pricing has a big component to do with success, because when you're bringing leads in through a funnel, you're actually paying for those leads. So when I look at pricing, I look at two functions. Number one, you have a tier 1 program, which is at a certain pricing level. So that means tier 1 is, I would price my tier 1 program anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000. Clients that are most successful are tipping the scale higher, to where their price point is, above 5,000 at least. And, most clients that are really crushing it on ROI are at a $10,000 price point. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, when you sell the first program, which is a tier 1, basic context for this is tier 1 is some type of group program, that one would sell. We see a group program somewhere around the 8-week mark in terms of teaching something for 8 weeks. I call it a hybrid model because you have some group that you teach for 8 weeks. You can then record that group training and then put it up in the members area. So while you're doing the group training live, and it becomes group coaching, because then you'll coach people afterwards, you can then take that recording and you can put that recording in the members area. And as a result of having that in the members area, now people can go back and watch it over and over and over again, and it becomes an online course, right? And that's the difference between a group coaching program and an online course. A group coaching program is teaching it live and then taking questions and doing some coaching. And an online course is actually just recording something and put it up online for people to go watch and self-study. So when you're selling something, the way that you increase the value of it is do a group coaching of 8 weeks, do an online course based on the recordings being put up afterwards. And then to increase the value also of group, you want to add some one-on-one. Much like in our Dream Client program that people are investing in, they're getting not only the group training, not only the online training, but they're also getting 6 individual private coaching sessions to help them execute the theory of what they're learning. So somebody hears something in a group training and they get the theory, but to execute it, they need a coach. And so the coach holding their hand and helping them execute makes a huge distinction between something that's just theory and something that's execution. So I highly recommend the hybrid model, hybrid meaning group, online, one-on-one. Additionally, at the end of that course, I would also put in something that is more of a seminar type format, to where you can immerse somebody in the information over a day or two. Reason being is, in people learning something, learning is not just theory, it's the application of something. So if somebody gets it once and they hear it once, it doesn't mean they got it. And most people think they've got it because they're glib and they're like, yeah, I totally got it, I know how to do it. But if you told somebody to shoot baskets one time, or you taught them how to shoot baskets one time, or swing a bat one time, how many people would be successful hearing it one time and doing it one time? They wouldn't. So in business, people have this glib attitude sometimes of like, oh, I know it, I understand it, I've done this before. And until they're producing the results, they don't really know it. So we take the theory, which is done in the group training, more theory, which is done in the online. The more times they go over it, the better they get. And then the one-on-one for the execution. And then at the end, a day or 2-day seminar, whether virtual or in person, allows that person then to go over the material again in an immersive format over a day or a day and a half, with a new set of eyes, because now they've been through the training, they've been through the program, and so they're seeing things differently. So the information they're hearing a second time is totally unique and totally different to them. And that's very, very important, because they're going to have a whole new set of realizations, and they're going to get it more ingrained in them because they're now like hearing it a second time, and they're going to apply it better. So that to me is a good tier 1 program. And then when you get into a tier 1 program, then of course somebody's not going to master something in 90 days, right? So they learn something in 90 days, they start to apply, they put some application, and they get some type of result based on where they're at. In any learning or any curriculum, you have 2 types of people who are brand new and just doing the most brand new basic things as a result of them. Then you have people who are more advanced, and more advanced people start getting more advanced results. So there's 2 different kinds of results. And that's how you should look at your trainings with what you're doing. So they come out of the tier one, which is typically 90 days or 100 days or so. And then you want to bring them into the tier two program, which is a year-long program, or whatever your next training is, okay? So you bring them into the tier two. And so when you look at like your blueprint that you've created in working with us, which is not the purpose of this call, but you have a blueprint, you have 7 steps that you're going to coach somebody on or teach them or provide them. And so based on those 7 steps, you know, in 90 days, you might teach them the 7 steps, but they're not really going to execute the 7 steps. They might execute the first 3 or the first 4, and they're going to need continued education throughout the course of the year to really start to gain mastery over something like this. So then the tier 2 becomes the execution of the remaining steps, which is 4, 5, 6, or 7, right? Steps 4, 5, 6, or 7, or whatever those steps are. So don't try and like, you know, give the client everything in terms of execution from your blueprint in 90 days. It may seem like it's easy for you because you're a master and an expert in it. Somebody who's brand new or is not an expert, it's too steep of a gradient, meaning you're trying to get them through grade 12 when you should only take them through grade 3, 4, or 5. So that's kind of the idea of this. Then when you go to a tier 2 program, which is a year long, the pricing for this should be anywhere between $25,000 and $50,000, depending on what you add. We have some clients that charge $100,000. It just depends on what you're going to add into it and what the program consists of. And then you're going to upgrade or upsell them to that. The time you should start looking at upselling somebody as they're coming to the near end of the first program. So, you know, if you have 6 private coaching calls and they're on call 4 or call 5 and they're expressing interest for more, or you think that, you know, now's the time to start transitioning them, you start letting them know, hey, here's your next step. As you're coming to the end of this program, here's your next step, and you begin the upsell process, okay? Why is this important? A couple of reasons. One, after 90 days, somebody's not going to gain expertise. The purpose of the 90 day is to get some result, okay? And you got to define what that is for your trainings. Then when you upsell them, the purpose is to get them the next level of result, right? And typically the second thing or the second tier is like a steeper gradient. It requires it's more advanced skills, it requires more time, hence it being a year-long program. And they should build on one another. So the basics of what you do in tier 1 will be built upon in tier 2. Okay. So for example, for us, when we're helping a customer in our dream client program on message, program, and sales system, a customer is not going to be able to succeed in phase 2 if they're not clear on their message in phase 1. So clarity on that is like, you know, their message isn't perfect. They just have a concept of, oh, here's what my message is now. Okay. They have a program to sell. Like if we take somebody online in our tier 2 program and they don't have a program to sell, then there's nothing to sell. So they have nothing to sell online. So if they have a program to sell, they can then go online and sell it. When we move people to our tier 2 to start going online, we don't expect their programs to be perfect either. Your program gets perfection over years and years and years of thousands or hundreds or dozens of people going through it. So you get the feedback and you make it better and better. So perfection is not the aim here. It's just getting started, okay? You get the program. And then third, in our dream client, we do sales training to help people with the basics of sales training so they know the enrollment system they're going to use when they actually go online. So for us, the basics to any business are message, program, and sales system, which is why we teach them in our 90-day training. Those will serve people in the future as they go online because, you know, having an idea of your message, you're going to test more of it as you go online. Having a program to sell, you're going to improve that as you get online and you start selling it. And having a sales system to use, you're going to use the sales system. And over time, as you do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of enrollment calls, you're going to get better and better and better at that. But that only, you know, becomes perfect, the basics, if you're doing something like the next phase, which is building an online business to have the leads coming in, have the calls being booked, selling the program so that you can perfect it over time, right? So that's the basic concept of a tier 1 and tier 2. The basics of tier 1 should build into tier 2, right? And so now you look at this and go, wait, how am I going to ROI? Okay, so we were looking this the other day on our particular funnel. Let me just give you some examples here, right? So math, so I can put this in the chat box to some degree here, and you can just look at it in the chat box. But when I look at basic math, right? And if you're following along without looking in the chat box, you can just write this down, okay? So coming through a funnel, right? If I'm looking at this with a sales hat, right? The sales hat starts once the appointment is booked, okay? And as I shared on my last call, which will be put up in a members area for you guys to go revisit, if it's not already there now, is the goal is once they book, it becomes a sales cycle. And the salesperson's job and the salesperson's hat is to get this person to show up. So automation and text messages are not the end all be all of getting a customer to show up, okay? They help the show up process, but if you just rely on automation and text messages, you might have 80% of the people not show up. What gets people to show up is personal touch. So when you assume the sales hat of, particularly with cold traffic, of I'm going to like now become the salesperson, you're like, okay, my job is to get them to show up. The funnel booked them, the funnel's reminding them, but there's things that you do, and I created a document for this, so it's already documented, and will be sent to you. And so the goal is like all the things you do to get them to show up, right? You call them, you send them a personal text. Hey, I'm going to be calling from this line. This is actually Ted. Hey, did you get my message? I'm actually reaching out. You booked a call, and you follow up as much times as it takes personally to get the response. If they don't text you back, you call them. If they don't pick up the phone, you call them again. If they don't pick that up, you email them. Okay. People don't show up for things sometimes. It's just how it goes. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your funnel. It just means that we've taken people from 20% show up. We've certainly done this with our funnel. So I'll speak with our funnel from 20-something% show up to 63% show up by actually doing this. Okay. All right. Quick pause. So if you're liking this and you want help applying it to your business, just click the link down below and you can book a free strategy call with one of my consultants. And these exact systems I'm sharing with you today, we've helped thousands apply them to their business. Let's get back to it. Also, things you can do to create friction is to put a questionnaire in your funnel. Now, in your marketing training, you're on the calls that you're getting, your insurance calls that you're doing, you can ask the coach about this. From a marketing standpoint, you can put questionnaires there with 7 or 8 questions that pre-qualify them. So when they book, they fill out a question. Before they book, they fill out a questionnaire. So there's friction, and they're more likely to show up because they completed a questionnaire. They remember going through the process. So you want to get the customer to show up, okay? Text them, call them, email them personally. Let automation do it too. But if it's not working and they haven't showed up on the phone call, you don't wait till the phone call starts. You're preemptive and you do it before. And so you do it like a few minutes before, an hour before yourself, to make sure that person absolutely shows up, okay? As you graduate to being more successful with this, I have team members who do this, right? So eventually, as you make this profitable, you have a team member who does all this stuff for you, but in the meantime, you're doing it yourself, or an assistant of yours is doing it, okay? So now you got the show up, the person shows up to the call. And my goal for client funnels is to get people getting you appointments booked around $100. Okay. The general concept is through the funnel, we've been able to get our customers booking around $100, but really, if I look at the average cost when we were running well with it, it was about $120 for me to get an appointment. Okay. And I don't want a $120 appointment. I want a $100 appointment. So for me, my leads are expensive. I have clients that are getting $69 appointments, $70 appointments, et cetera, right? So, but I can double my appointments by calling all the leads who come through on the funnel. So I have, every time a cell phone number comes in, we have somebody picks up the phone and calls them. And so if the funnel doesn't book them, call them by phone and get them booked. That will double the number of appointments. So if the funnel is giving me a $120 appointment, by having somebody call the leads and book them, I'm now getting a $60 appointment. Okay? Huge difference. Essentially, it doubles your ROI. Okay? So it also takes me in a phase where, for me, I've been running my particular funnel, the one that you guys are running with the AI in it. I've been running funnels for 9 years, right? So my funnels that have been running for 9 years do fantastic. But the new one I created with the AI and all that stuff has been running for me about a year or so, maybe 10 months. I'm on my third video swap out, which basically means I launched my first video and it got me, my cost per appointment was $300 and something. I didn't want that. So I fixed the video, I fixed the page that it was on. I took my cost per appointment to $120, $100 through the funnel, okay? Now 9 months later, that video is burned out. And so my cost has gone up, so I'm creating a new video. So in 3 months, in nine or 10 months, maybe a year, 3 videos, okay? So you got to be mindful of that. It may burn out, something may get old, it's not converting, what have you, you change the video, okay? So I'm constantly jockeying the funnel to get me $100 appointments, but while my cost was going up and my cost that was around 100 started to go up to $200, I have a phone guy calling the leads to still knock it back down to 100. Now I'm not happy with the $200 per appointment per the funnel. I want to get it back down to 100, so we're optimizing now to get it back down. And then we have the caller calling too, and now we've cut it in half. Makes sense? So that's the goal of what you're doing. I have clients that are getting $70 appointments better than me. I have clients that are getting $60 appointments. Our best client converting funnel was at $39 per appointment. They get lower cost per leads. They get these people who are doing it. They have a less competitive industry than me, so their cost per appointment is better. So they have a better chance of ROIing than I do. So I got to make it up in calling, and I got to make it up in sales teams. Okay. Doesn't mean I stop running my funnel because I have a $120 appointment through the funnel. Not at all. I keep running it. I just do better. Make sense? So this is like a crash course in like education on this. If you go back and watch this 9,000 times, it wouldn't be enough, because the whole idea is like you can be cause over your funnel. It's bringing in leads. You're getting cell phone numbers. People are booking on your calendar. But if you don't follow the things that I'm saying in all of these videos, you will not get the result that you're looking for. And so if you follow what I'm saying, then you will start to get the result that you're looking for, okay? So all of this is like, okay, let me get the appointment at the cost that I want. So let's just look at the math now, because this is about program creation ROI, right? I'm selling a program for this price. Now I've got appointments showing up. What's my ROI going to be? If we look at 100 appointments coming through, okay? Not 100 appointments, sorry. If we look at 20 appointments, okay? 20 appointments being booked. So we go 20 appointments. I'll put this in the chat box. We get 20 appointments at $100 per appointment. That equals $2,000 in ad spend. Make sense? Because I paid $100 to get an appointment. Okay? But of those 20 appointments, remember, 50% might not show up. So let's say I have a 50% no-show. So now, instead of 20 appointments, I have 20 scheduled, but 50% don't show up. So I really have 10 appointments. Because the ultimate goal is not what's scheduled, it's what's held, right? So I now have 10 appointments held. Now, people all the time will go, wow, 50% don't show up. I'm like, yeah, like even if you booked an appointment with friends or people that are clients, sometimes just people who are paying clients, 20% won't show up on a one-on-one call. Happens all the time. And they've paid for something, right? Think of somebody who hasn't paid for something, doesn't even know you, doesn't know your brand, has seen it for the first time. They got to have compelling reasons to show up, which is good reminders, following up with them, texting them until they respond to you. So the way we take it from like really low to higher, 50 and 60%, is following my show up process. Now, let's say you get 10 appointments showing up, okay? So 10 appointments held. So now I have 10 appointments held. If I close 10%. If I'm priced at $5,000, I've invested $2,000 to sell a $5,000 program. And I just made 2.5x on my money. In a business that's new, that has low overhead, that you're killing it. 2.5x, you're killing it. However, a 10% closing rate is low. So like on a $5,000 program, selling a $5,000 program, my team would sell a minimum of 20% on that on a $5,000 program, okay? So a good salesperson is going to sell 20%. A kind of average salesperson will sell 10%. So let's just go with the average, 10%. Great, I 2.5x my money. Now that's if you follow everything I'm saying. And if you miss anything that I'm saying, you're not going to ROI and you might lose money. So you really need to understand this, that like everything that I'm saying in these videos, I'm giving you the manual. If you follow it, you'll win. Now, I don't expect perfection because my team's been doing this for years and we have to correct them all the time when things aren't done properly. People get busy, people make mistakes, people forget, people aren't trained properly. So you want to continuously train yourself on these things and look, hey, if my show up rate isn't good, what am I not doing and what needs to be improved? Then you improve it, okay? If my closing rate is not good, am I following the philosophy of one, if somebody is willing, they should be closed, okay? Example, my coach just originated something to me and my coach just said, hey, Ted, I got this client, they want to do a payment plan, and blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, I said, that's not our policy. People's estimation of effort is not correct. So if they tell you they can afford this much per month, they're not planning on taxes, inflation, stock market drops, an emergency that comes up, a family issue, all this stuff. So by giving a payment plan on this, the client will eventually drop. It's not doing them service because then they'll drop the program. And I don't want to deal with those headaches of somebody not being serviced and not being helped. So here's how you do it. You handle them on it. You tell them to go get a loan from a friend, a family member, and you tell them that the training starts now. I'm going to coach you on how to do build a proper business, which is go out and find the money. So before they even start the program, you can train them and coach them like, hey, here's how to build a proper business, or here's how to succeed in life. Go find the money, go get this thing paid in full, and then you can start. Okay. And sure enough, this stuff works, right? And so that is a customer who was willing, who just wasn't handled fully to the extent that I would handle somebody. And so then you have something that could have been a close that becomes a failed close that I would have closed, that most time my senior coach would have closed, but in some case misses, and you tack that up to a failed close. So when you're doing sales, you got to make sure that you're looking at if somebody's willing, they should be closed. If somebody's, that's the senior thing. Finance is a second. Most people think finance is first. It's not. If you ask people, do you have the money to do this? Nobody has the money to do it. Because coming into this call, they didn't plan on putting this money into your training. So they weren't planning on it. So of course they don't have it because they don't have it as part of their plan. It's not in their universe that I'm going to do it. So they don't have it. So when you ask them, do you have the money or do you have a budget? Of course they don't have a budget for it. You never ask somebody, do you have a budget for anything? That's the worst question you could ask. Make sense? You don't even ask them if they have the money. Okay, for this. You ask them about their finances, and that's a whole nother training I'll be doing. Tell me about your finances. You go through everything to figure out their finances. Whole separate training. Okay. So point being, willingness first, finances second. If they're willing, they should be closed. If they're willing and they're not closed, then it is tacked up as a failed close. Okay. So out of 10 calls, how many failed closes did you have? And you keep a stat of like, wow, I could have closed this one, it slipped away. Now, if you could have closed one out of 10 calls and you didn't close anything, then your ROI goes from 2,000 invested to $0 back, and your ROI is 0. So this is a real thing, right? And the better you get at understanding these principles, the better you're going to get at closing, the better you're going to get at responsibility from a sales viewpoint, and the better you're going to get at mastery, and the more your ROI is going to go up. Now, take a person who has a $10,000 training and the client closes at 10 grand, and you've invested the same $2,000 to get those 10 calls, but you invested $2,000 in ads, you close a $10,000 sale, now you're at 5x ROI. And you live in a different universe at this point. Now, is it just as easy to sell a 10K as it is a 5? I wouldn't say just as easy, but marginally, it's not twice as hard to sell a 10. It's probably, 20% harder to sell a 10. So if you're not comfortable with that, instead of a 5, sell a 7. Now, is there a difference between a 5 and a 7? Yeah, mathematically. Is it harder to close a $6,999 program versus a 5? No, it's really not. So go up from 5 to 7 and then give yourself a chance, and all of a sudden your ROI is even higher. You're like, well, Ted, my program's not worth it. Let's add in more bells and whistles. Let's add in some more private. Let's add in some additional seminars. Let's add in an online piece. And then worst case scenario, if you're like, this person had to beg, borrow, and steal, they couldn't come up with a $5,000, great, downsell them to $1,000 training, which is your online training, which gives them no group, no one-on-one, and no seminar, but they get the online training for $1,000. So you're never getting off the call without a close. And in that case, you should be closing lots of deals and winning. At a very least at $1,000. So you're collecting some money to pay for your ad spend. Okay. So if you're serious about scaling your business online and you want help with my one-to-many selling method to sell on podcasts or webinars or virtual stages or in person, then click the link down below and book a free strategy call. My coaches will help you implement it. We've worked with over 30,000 businesses on these very same strategies. Click it down below and go book. See you soon.